Okay, first of all, I was on the board of the Long Island Association. I was named chairperson of a committee to take a look at affordable housing because housing was out of the reach of so many people on Long Island who were working on Long Island. So what could we do about it? The committee did a lot of research. We came up with a recommendation that we create a housing partnership that would be under the LIA. We brought it to the board of the LIA, and the board voted to reject it. It was about a 5-3 vote. So after the vote to say no, several people came up to me and said, you know, Bob, we should go ahead and create the housing partnership as a separate entity. And I kind of looked at it, evaluated it, looked at the economics, and I decided if we could get 10 companies or 10 businesses or 10 not-for-profits to contribute $10,000 a year for 3 years, that it would be worthwhile going ahead. The year that we really kind of got off the ground to begin with was 1987, but it wasn't until 1988 that it really, let's say, went into effect.
So we created a separate company called the Long Island Housing Partnership with a separate board, separate governance, separate board of directors, and we attracted to it the banks, the builders, the community associations and others, all of whom had a stake in the continuing growth of Long Island by becoming and continuing to be a place where families could get their start.
So literally the first meeting that I took as county executive right after I was sworn in was with Bob McMillan and Jim Morgo. And they said, we've incorporated, we've created this organization, the Long Island Housing Partnership, and we're ready to go and tackle this huge problem. And I said to them, that's great. We have no money, but we do have land. And if you're willing to get the money, we'll give you plenty of land to build housing. And the rest is history.
I had served as Commissioner of Transportation for the state, and I was familiar with the amount of excess property that the state had, including uneconomic remainders from road projects and so forth. So we gained an inventory of publicly owned property that could be deeded over to the partnership as lots and as property on which to build affordable housing. We then tapped into the federal and state sources of support for affordable housing, which was emerging both out of Washington and Albany. And so we did have some subsidy available to offset the problem of the down payment.
My memories of the beginning of the partnership was the first thing we did was to go and look to hire a person to be the voice of the partnership, and found an excellent choice in Jim Morgo, and Jim started it at Stony Brook.
I was President and Chief Executive Officer from the beginning, January 17th, 1988, until September 15th, 2004. And I have very vivid memories of those early days. In fact, the very first day that the Housing Partnership opened its doors was January 17th. I had a friend help me carry chairs and desks to a one-room classroom at Stony Brook and Harriman Hall. And those first couple of months, it was just the first employee, besides myself, of the Housing Partnership, Jeanette Perra and I, in that classroom, complete with a chalkboard, but a typewriter, and that was it. Jim LaRocca, who was head of the LIA at the time, was vice chair. And in fact, he served as acting chair when Bob McMillan took a leave of absence to run against Pat Moynihan for the United States Senate. And that was a key year. That was in 1988. So Jim's leadership was crucial. Then there were Peter Klein and Charlie Mancini and Howard Gross. All three of them knew the real estate business a lot better than I, and they guided me. I remember in that first year a meeting at a diner in the town of Islip.
Bob McMillan's office, his firm, provided the legal expertise, and from that point we got started. I can remember myself and Jim Morgo and Howard Gross and a few other of us riding around in our cars on a Saturday morning, Sunday morning, looking at the lots, evaluating them.
At the beginning of the partnership, it was more entrepreneurial in a sense. We were starting off, we had to raise funds, we had to obtain grants, and we were a new entity with no track record. So that took one approach. But as time progressed and we became more successful, the company has become more business-like in nature, recognizing that in order to be useful to the population that we serve, we have to be successful financially, and Peter Elkowitz and the board have been very successful in accomplishing that.
So the partnership became and remains the main facilitator of affordable housing on Long Island, and it does that through any number of services that it provides for the people of Long Island.
My first experience with the housing partnership was when they were working out of a small office at Stony Brook University with Jim Morgo and Jeanette, and I went to go meet with them to learn a little bit about what they were up to. I saw a picture on the wall of Bobby Kennedy and Tony Conigliaro from the Boston Red Sox, and Jim Morgo had me at hello, and I've been involved with the housing partnership ever since.
That first year was an incredibly difficult year. We didn't know if it was going to be our only year. We were at Stony Brook and growing. I remember distinctively Charlie Mancini saying to me, "You got to get with the times, Jim. You need a fax machine." And I think the single key moment that I remember that really caused the housing partnership to be a success was the hiring of Peter Elkowitz in January of 1989. Peter brought a business acumen, an organizational skills that got the housing partnership to move forward. And in April of that '88, Governor Cuomo, Mario Cuomo, spoke at the Housing Partnership's first annual meeting. So that gave the Housing Partnership some credibility, some direction. The Housing Partnership had the mission of a not-for-profit to provide home ownership for those people on Long Island, particularly young people who would otherwise been never able to own a home. But it was a not-for-profit that was run as a business. And the business skills that were really brought to the housing partnership came with Peter.
When we first started going out into the community, which is one of our successes, because we always bring in the community whenever we're looking to develop affordable housing, people weren't aware of what affordable housing was and who was getting these affordable homes. And Jim Morgo, mainly, as well as myself, going out in the community talking about what affordable housing is, and we would ask the question always, all right, who knows someone who needs an affordable home? And you'd have a part of the group raise their hands, and then as we continued talking to the community over the years, we've asked that same question, and a majority of people would say, I have a son or a daughter living at home. They went away to college, they had to come back because they couldn't find someplace else, or they moved totally off the island. And that's what you call losing your brain drain, is when the young are educated. We pay a lot of money to educate them in public schools here on Long Island, and they go away to college and they don't come back to the area because there's not the proper housing type or the affordable housing type that they would like to live in. We probably helped over 25,000 individuals get into housing here on Long Island, and as I said earlier, it's not only through development, it's through our technical assistance programs, which include helping municipalities create affordable housing. It helps other not-for-profits to build affordable housing. It also helps for-profit developers who are looking to build affordable housing here on Long Island. We provide down payment assistance programs, employer-assisted housing programs. We rehab the existing stock, as we're one of the most oldest suburban areas in the nation. We have aging housing stock, and it's really critical for us to incorporate in any of our affordable housing programs when people purchase, especially if it's on a resale, the ability to rehab that home and bring it up to code as well. So basically the partnership went in not only to build affordable housing, but then went into counseling and education to get people prepared to be a homeowner. The partnership is more than a job. The first chairman, Bob McMillan, always said, you know, how someone could be lucky to get paid for helping other people. It's always been in my career path to help other individuals to try to gain access to affordable housing. I think it's critical. It's definitely, like I said earlier, a need on Long Island for us to build affordable housing. People could not get into this housing through the ordinary means, and this provides them that opportunity. It is wealth building to these families. It continues, it's one of the basic needs. Food, shelter. This is shelter, obviously, and the shelter definitely is required to keep families together. So we're proud here at the partnership. The staff here is proud, and believe me, no one looks at this as a job, but looks at it as helping other individuals. So it's critical to have a very strong board. Sometimes when you know, people look at your board of directors and they say, oh, you have 30 board members, that must be impossible. It's not, because everyone has the same goal, and that is to create affordable housing. And it's critical to have a strong board and to have the support of the board. And I got to tell you, working with them and having them supporting us and helping us through various developments is critical for the success of the partnership, basically.
I served as Executive Vice President of the Long Island Housing Partnership for over 8 years. The partnership is a marvelous organization that does amazing work for working families on Long Island. And it was a pleasure to work with dedicated professionals that care about people and live to help people. The Board of Directors, Kevin Law as the chairman now, and our directors are wonderful people who give a lot of time to help the organization and to make it move forward.
Since I've come on in 2001, I've seen a shift in a lot of the developments that we're working on now, more towards the smart growth developments. And you know what I mean by that is you see more developments focused on transit-oriented development, focused on Main Street growth, such as in the village of Patchogue and downtown Bayshore and other areas across Long Island. And the reason for this is you see a lot of what's called the brain drain on Long Island. So you're losing the population between the ages of 25 and 34 at a large percentage. And you know, to offset this, we're trying to make some developments more popular towards that generation, such as rental developments in those downtowns where they don't have to use transit as much, or they don't have to use automobiles as much, so they can, you know, go to a local store for groceries, they can go to local restaurants for dinner, or they can go, you know, to the local nightlife. You know, having elected officials with great foresight and, you know, with the will to get things done, such as Mayor Paul Pontieri in the village of Patchogue, creates such a vibrant community there. You go there now on weekends, and you know, it's a booming, vibrant area, and the theater and the restaurants and everything is just so great. And you know, it all stems with the leadership and the political will to get things done.
Having grown up in Patchogue and seen Patchogue transition itself many times, and looking at what had happened the late 80s into the 90s, the early 2000s with the big box stores and Main Street, the decline of Main Street, when I became mayor, one of the things I clearly understood is that we needed to put people on Main Street, put feet on the street, and put young people in the community, put people that had the discretionary income to walk uptown and take advantage of what retail and restaurants may or may not be there. Copper Beach is 80 townhouses on 5 acres, 50% of it affordable. And it did exactly what we expected and hoped it would do. At the time, former county executive Steve Levy had an affordable housing program, and we got $3.7 million for acquisition of properties. The housing partnership came in and helped us put together that plan for those 40 units out of the 80 units to be, through a lottery, being given to those in need. It has been a tremendous, tremendous asset. And it did two things. It obviously put the feet on the street and said to businesses on Main Street, there are people that will come and support your businesses. But it also said to the development community out there that, and developers, that we're open for business. Affordable housing is critical to the redevelopment of any community. You're building your future with affordable housing. Affordable housing is not just about what happens today. but it's about the longevity of your community, that ability of your community to sustain itself over time.
The mission of the Long Island Housing Partnership is important now, and it's going to grow more important during this economic recovery. Look, we have been through some very tough times on Long Island, very difficult times. And one of the final pieces of our recovery is, in fact, housing and financing. And the Long Island Housing Partnership is so vitally important to that. We are now at a point where the stock market is doing very, very well. But what good is a strong stock market if you still have people leaving Long Island because they can't afford to live here? And so we've got to count on the Long Island Housing Partnership to continue to use all the tools they have to make sure that children can stay here, that employers can hire here, and that we have a good base of affordable housing for Long Island.
No one has done more to provide advice and assistance to first-time homebuyers than the Long Island Housing Partnership. You help young people achieve their dreams and help them meet their most basic need for an affordable home in a nice neighborhood. I'm proud to have worked closely for many years with the Long Island Partnership and its president, Peter Elkowitz. Peter worked closely with the Senate Long Island Republican delegation to develop the successful HELP program and has been working hard to distribute $25 million in state aid to help families buy homes right here on Long Island.
Working together, Suffolk County and the Long Island Housing Partnership have created hundreds of units of new affordable housing, both home ownership and rental, as well as rehabilitating hundreds more homes under the county's 72H program. No one has done more in this region to promote affordable home ownership and rental housing opportunities than the Long Island Housing Partnership. Your mission remains as critical today as it was 25 years ago, and I look forward to strengthening our partnership in Suffolk County in the years ahead.
The Long Island Housing Partnership has been a great partner here in Nassau County. We've partnered with them on many programs. One that comes to mind, which has been very successful, is our housing lottery, wherein we rehab an old house, a house that's perhaps coming out of foreclosure or has been abandoned and run down. We take that house, working with the federal dollars that were allotted and the partnership of the Long Island Housing Partnership. Those houses are rehabbed and then provided to a family so they can live in the communities in most often cases that they grew up in. It's a great opportunity for the families to have an affordable house here in Nassau County, and at the same time we're removing blight from our neighborhoods.
It gives me a great deal of pride to be affiliated and associated with the Long Island Housing Partnership. As board treasurer, I get the advantage of that many people don't have to really get behind the numbers and understand the dynamics. But I also am proud to be associated with an organization that helps to place residents of Long Island into affordable, safe, and decent housing. That gives me a great deal of pride.
Each member of the housing partnership brings something different. I don't have the monies, and I don't have some of the expertise that other people bring to this committee. But I do know my community. I know the people that live in the community. Why? Because I live there and I'm one of them. And I mingle and I understand by talking to them about their desires and their needs. And I am able to express those or bring those concerns to the table at the Long Island Housing Partnership. I like the idea that we are able to first train people on how to get a loan, and then to get the loan, and then eventually own their own home. And not only own them, but to be able to keep them, to afford the payments, the mortgage payments. So that, to me, is very satisfying.
I'm a single mother with 2 children, a 16-year-old who is disabled, and a 10-year-old. And we've been struggling for years to find an appropriate place to live. The hardship begins when my 16-year-old growth just supersedes or living environment. If it hadn't been for Long Island Housing Partnership, owning my own home would not be possible. We have the most perfect home just for me and my family. My son, he has his own bedroom. They've constructed the ground floor to make it accessible for him. So now he has his own little private suite. And my 10-year-old son, he has his own bedroom. And according to him, he owns the whole house. He's so fascinated running from room to room. And it just brings so much joy to my heart to know that there are programs like this to make this possible for us.
So from helping 11 families initially to helping over 2,000 families a year now, it is a tremendous increase in the production. And one of the things I want to say is it would not be possible without the great staff that we have here at the partnership.
So I just wish the Housing Partnership the very best for the future.
So on behalf of Nassau County, I want to wish the Long Island Housing Partnership a very happy 25th anniversary. They've certainly made a profound difference here in Nassau County.
I'd like to say thank you to all who included me in this program. Although, you know, I left the Housing Partnership about 9 years ago, it's still a big part of who I am, so thank you.
I want to congratulate the Long Island Housing Partnership on its 25th anniversary of helping people realize the dream of buying a home.
I do want to offer my congratulations to the Long Island Housing Partnership for 25 years of success. But the mission is not over. The fight goes on.
I want to congratulate the present leadership and membership for the wonderful job that they do, and remind everybody of the importance of this issue on Long Island if we are to maintain the kind of economic vitality that all of us expect.
You take a look at the accomplishments of 25 years, and you see the changes that it's made. It's made in communities such as Bayshore and Patchogue, where we're at right now. The value that it gives, and more importantly, the trust you have in working with them, knowing that your partner in what is a very critical decisions you're making is one you can trust. It goes beyond just 25 years of hard work. It's 25 years of trust.
I want to congratulate the Housing Partnership and Peter Elkowitz and Kevin Law and all the members of the board and our past members of the board and our past management for the success they've had, and wish them the best in the future. I know without question it will be successful.
The Housing Partnership has exceeded everybody's expectation, but the need remains, and the need for the Housing Partnership today is just as important as it was that first day I met with them. So congratulations, Long Island Housing Partnership, and everybody that's been part of this. We have a lot to be proud of.
I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate LIHP on its 25th anniversary celebration. I am pleased that they have sustained the 25 years and continue to do the wonderful work they do. And I'm pleased to be a partner in that work. So I say to Long Island Housing Partnership, executive team, staff, friends, and family, congratulations on your 25th anniversary.
And I congratulate this organization, and I look forward to working with you for the next 25 years.
I really like to commend them for their hard work and join in the chorus of celebration and congratulations to them on their 25th anniversary, and here's to a great next 25 years.
I wish all my friends at the partnership a wonderful and glorious 25 years for all the good that they've done. And I look forward to them enjoying another 25 years of tremendous service to the community.
I'm happy as I could be to be here and to be able to say happy 25th anniversary to all the folks at the partnership for a job really well done. And I'd like to really look forward to the next 25 years and hope I'm around to celebrate the 50th.
We've been very, very lucky in having very, very good people, and I think the success will continue to be there as long as we continue to have such strong people.
My congratulations to all the members of the Long Island Housing Partnership family, from the outstanding members of the board to the dedicated staff, as you celebrate 25 years of service to the Long Island community.
I don't know how much to thank the Long Island Housing Partnership for helping me. And the gratitude that I feel is unexplainable.